and everybody's on the same page and making sure that we're working to improve there and grow.
Not sure how much you've scuttled on the Lions, but they're the highest scoring offense in the league right now, and the Bills are second. But how much? I'm not sure if that helps. But how much does it help in some cases that they represent or have some of this very same dynamics on offense as the Rams do? So you get a chance to prove yourself against what is a similarly very high-powered offense next week.
I have not watched a ton. I've watched some. I'm about to dive into that. But I think we've played, what is it? This will be our fifth game in a sense against that style of offense. So, it obviously provides a little comfortability in the fact that, you can anticipate some of the things, but everybody's a little bit different. Everybody's a little bit different. So what we got to worry about is ourselves. We got to worry about ourselves and have a high awareness of who we're going against, how they like to play, how they like to attack. And we got to worry about our jobs, because that's what we've got to do a great job of, is our jobs. And we got to compete at a high level.
Good. Thanks, Bobby.
You got it.
Hey, Bobby, I know you said you're just diving into Lions stuff, but Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are just known for being really talented running backs, putting them together on the field at the same time and at different points throughout the game. How do you, as a rushing defense, get ready to prepare for going up against a two-headed attack at running back?
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, we just got to get back to our basics, get back to our fundamentals, what our jobs are within each defense. And, there's a lot of good running backs in this league. I know these two we're about to go against are, I think a lot of people consider them the best duo in the National Football League, and they're certainly going to be a challenge. But, I think our guys are up to the challenge. I believe our guys are up to the challenge, and they're ready to respond. So, again, going up against a really good opponent overall. They're obviously, I think John just said it, the highest scoring offense in the NFL. We're going to have our hands full, but that's what the NFL is. And, our guys will be ready, for this week. They'll prepare and we'll be ready to go.
As a defense, you guys have been so good at forcing turnovers throughout the season, doing it in every single game up until this last game against the Rams. How do you get back? Sorry, takeaways. How do you get back to forcing that in this game against Lions?
Yeah, I think we just, it's intention. It's intention in what we're about. And, I think there becomes a moment in games where you feel like, I think as a player, as a coach, as a play caller, and I think Sean would say, where you feel like you have a pretty good handle and you're in control of the game. And, I think what you saw yesterday was we weren't in control of the game. And, and I think really when it comes down to it, you can kind of lose sight of those things, if that makes sense, once you get out of whack there. So I think we just need to fall back in line to what we know works for us and what the standard is here in Buffalo. And that's the intention of taking the ball away.
Falling back into who you are as a defense, is that a reminder from you as the defensive coordinator? Is that getting together as a group? How does that happen when it's like, hey, we got to get back to the basics? Where does that start for you guys?
Yeah, that's a good question. A long time ago, there's a great coach in the league that, was constantly talking about reteaching. And there's moments throughout the season where there's reteaching moments. You don't want to lose sight of things as a coach, but things might kind of slip depending on the week, depending on where the player's at, all those type of things. And there's an aha moment where you got to come back and you got to reteach and you got to get back to the basics. And, I think like you talked about takeaways, that's a everyday constant we talk about. When you talk about block destruction, when you talk about tackling, those are everyday things, but, there might be a little detail here that you need to revisit, you need to reteach. And, that can be anywhere. That can be in a group setting. That can be in an individual one-on-one meeting. That can be in a position group meeting.
Thanks, Bobby.
You got it, man.
George, you have to unmute. Good afternoon, Coach. George Radney, Challenger Community News. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you, George?
Great. I was just wondering a couple questions. One, the angles of the safeties that they're taking in this game. I thought, how can they improve on their angles on the plays? Because I thought, especially on that touchdown where Rasul Douglas was hit by Taylor Rapp in the end zone, he hit him. Taylor Rapp actually blasted Rasul Douglas on that play. I was wondering, Rapp should have been coming up in front of the receiver instead of being behind Rasul Douglas on that play?
Yeah, he definitely could have taken a better angle, and it starts with his eyes. You got to know where you're going, and it starts with your eyes.
Okay, meaning you got to look and see it and then go to it?
That's right.
Yeah, he seems to be having a lot of, it seems like he just goes and, man, just bam, just hits everybody.
Yeah, Taylor's doing a great job for us. Obviously, every player has plays they want back, so he's tackling really well right now. And if it wasn't for Taylor Rapp, getting ball carriers down in the open field yesterday, we could have been in worse shape.
All right. And last question on running, what was it with the blocking scheme of the Rams that seemed to cause so much trouble where they were able to move our defensive line off the ball and open up holes for the running backs? Looked like they were really running there earlier in the game. What causes that type of situation? Is it gap integrity or something?
Yeah, to us, George, it's more about us and how we're attacking the run game, not only from the defensive line, but to the second level of our defense and the third level. So, it's all tied in together. It's all tied in together, and we've got to do a better job. And, the guys know that, and, they'll continue to work this week on doing a better job.
All right. Thank you for your time, and good luck this week.
Thanks, George.
Hey, Coach, thank you for taking the time to chat with us. Appreciate it. I just wanted to ask you about Christian. Just, he had a couple bright spots in yesterday's overall tough team performance defensively, but just where he is now and, knowing the expectations were so high with him, but the evolution of his game to being where it is now, just what has impressed you the most and where do you kind of assess where Christian is right now?
Yeah, I think people lose sight of, the intelligence of a football player at this level and how much that comes into things. And, I would say his football IQ is extremely, extremely high. And the second thing I'd say is, his work ethic. His work ethic, he wants to be great. He works in that manner. He's always wanted to do extra, and he's a joy to coach.
And then just one last one for me, Bobby. Just this week, I know you haven't gotten to practice yet. You're just diving into the film for Detroit. But what does the proper response from your guys on defense look like? If you can envision what that looks like to kind of put last game kind of in the rearview mirror and turn their attention to the bigger goals you guys have for this season.
Yeah, I think when you look at, the response and what we're looking for, it's really, and this is, call this response that I'm about to give you, whatever you want, but our guys know what it looks like. Our guys know what it's supposed to look like. I showed them one clip today. I won't say what it was, but I simply said, guys, that's not us. That's not us. And they know it's not us. And you try to paint that picture of what it should look like and what it doesn't look like. And, we have a philosophy and, we talk about bringing our philosophy to life. And that's the expectation. And the expectation of the response is to get us back on track. And we're all professionals here, and that's what we need to do.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate your time.
You got it.
Hey, Bobby, it's Jay with the Buffalo News. This question might sound a little bit similar, but after the game yesterday, Sean said that defending the run starts with an attitude. How do you effectively coach an attitude?
We talk about it every day, Jay. We talk about attitude is part of your mindset, right? You go into a game with a mindset, and part of our job as coaches, and also part of the player's job, is to make sure your mindset is where it needs to be. And, what Sean's talking about is part of that mindset. And, you know, in any sport, it's an attitude you won't be denied, you know, and the thing in this league is that everybody isn't going to be perfect all the time. But like I said earlier, we collectively have to have the mindset and attitude that Sean's talking about that we're not going to be denied. And we know what that mindset's supposed to be, and I'll keep that between us and the players. But other players can use other players to pick themselves up, if that makes sense. So again, just a reset, regroup, no panic, and go attack this week of practice, you know, and include that mindset, daily mindset in what we're trying to attack.
Probably the two toughest performances for the defense this season have been Baltimore and then yesterday.
Absolutely.
And I know you just sort of touched on it there a little bit, but you know, that mindset, that attitude, whatever word you want to use to describe it, you know, is going to be there over the next month or two, particularly when you get to the postseason. And I guess just how do you make sure that it's there consistently in the biggest moment?
That's a great question, Jay, because I think if anybody gave you an answer that this is exactly how it is, you know, it's different because every room in this league is different. The age of the room, if you're talking about the defensive unit, is different in every. So, you know, clearly I have to do a good job of helping those guys set that mindset and finding different ways for different individuals, right? Because everybody is a little different in that room, and I'm up there in front of the whole group. So maybe, you know, chit-chatting with this player or helping them on the side set that mindset and that attitude. You know what I mean? And it's a standard in practice now. It's a standard in practice, and we got to uphold that. And you know, I think, Jay, it's an organic thing, if that makes sense. You got to know where you're at the time and where you need to get to. And maybe you're there, maybe you're not there, and you need to figure out how to get there. So every week is constantly evolving, and that's the NFL. That's the NFL, and that's the parity in the NFL.
Thanks, Bobby. Appreciate your time.
You got it.
Hey, Bobby, I know you've talked a lot about the game, obviously, but I was curious what specifically stood out to you about what wasn't working on third down?
What wasn't working on third down?
On third down, just like in general, yeah.
Oh, shoot. The list is long now. It was one of those days. We always talk about rush and coverage working together, and that didn't come to fruition yesterday. And it wasn't on the rushers, and it wasn't always on the coverage. And it was the perfect storm of us not working together as far as rush and coverage, and a lot of little different things in there that are why we got the result we got.
And then one last question from me, just not about the game at all. Micah Hyde is back, and we haven't gotten to talk to you about that. What was your reaction to hearing the news, and what's it like having him back in the building?
I mean, it was great. You know, I mean, we spent a lot of time together. I'm sure he would say too much time together, and it's great. You know, I'm sure he'll forever go down as one of the great Bills, and you know, really helped turn this thing around when we first got here. And it's a huge part of the history of this organization, and it's great to have him back. He's a great person. We love his family, you know, and he's definitely an asset to this organization.
Thank you.
You got it.